Hi everybody, my name is Ethan Green. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. I'm 23 years old and I'm really excited for this day specifically because I am starting a poker vlog. I'm very excited about this. There's probably countless vlogs out there, and this is gonna be mine. And if you're tuning in, you probably know me and you probably watched me post this like on a different platform to shout it out. And I appreciate you so much for taking time out of your day to watch this poker vlog. If you know poker, cool. You probably don't, and that's probably why I appreciate you so much, because you're taking time out of your day to support something that I'm very, very excited about, and I have a lot of hope for, if that makes sense. So I want to thank you if you know me and you saw me post this and you're here because of that. Thank you so much. So I'm really excited. I'm going to be playing today. We're going to be doing some hands at the 7 Deuce Social Club in Oak Grove, Kentucky. Very excited. It's a very small place. The owner is really, really cool. And I am going to be playing a few hands. I don't know how many hands I'm going to post. I'm just going to post the biggest hands I'm in, probably, which is probably going to be 6 to 8 hands. It may even be like 5 hands. It really just depends on how the game goes. I hope the game goes good, but if I lose $800, I'm posting it. So without further ado, I'm going to do a really quick intro before we get into the hands, and we're going to go get ahead and get into the hands. So let's get it. So for the first hand of the night, we are looking down at a premium. It is 2-5 of spades. I always like calling in position with these hands because you never really know what you can flop. And truthfully, I think I was planning on raising this hand anyway. This guy to my right raises to $10. I go ahead and make the call. The player to my left also makes the call, so we are going 3 ways to a flop. And as bad as this hand is, the reason that I typically will call with it is because of this flop. We end up getting Jack, 7, 3, 2 spades. The initial raiser to my right goes ahead and makes it $20. And in a $30 pot, I can reasonably call with a spade draw. I make the pretty standard call, and the player to my left, he gets out of the way, and we go off to a turn. The turn does not bring us much help. It brings in the 2 of diamonds, which does give us a pair, but we really don't have any, straight draws. That doesn't really improve us too much unless we can hit like something weird, trips on the river. He leads into me for $42 now, and the pot's already at $70. At $42, you can let go of this because you could be up against a bigger straight draw. Bigger flush draw, but I just decided to go ahead and make the call. Honestly, because this player specifically before the hand made a joke about me filming my hands, and I would have loved to suck out on him. Unfortunately, the river brings another 7. It is the 7 of clubs this time, so I'm sitting with bottom pair, technically 2 pair, but not a very good 2 pair, of course. And when he leads into me for $75, I go ahead and just let this one go. I always think about bluffing, but I don't think it makes much sense this early in the session, and we take a little bit of a loss there. All right, guys, for this one, we pick up Jack 6 of clubs, and as you guys will find out, I absolutely love suited cards. It is very rarely that I fold suited cards pre-flop unless it's a sizable raise and I'm out of position, or the game's really crazy and I know it can get out of hand. But when it's a pretty passive game, like this one has been so far, and most people are limping, I go ahead and limp in with this one just to see a flop. We're going 5 ways to the flop, and the flop comes out pretty good. We flop top pair with a Jack of diamonds, 5 of clubs, 8 of spades. We have 1 club, so we have a backdoor flush draw. So we have something to look forward to if our Jack happens not to be good because of our weak kicker. So we go ahead and check it over to the last position player. He goes ahead and bets $8. There's 2 callers. The guy beside me folds, and I go ahead and make the call for $8. We have a little pot brewing. It's already $42 at this point, and we go off to a turn. The turn really doesn't change much. Brings in the 3 of diamonds. It does put a flush draw out there, but I'm not really, it's relatively a blank. I go ahead and check it with my top pair. I'm happy to get the showdown with it. And the river, of course, brings in a overcard with the Queen of Hearts. I go ahead and check it again, and the last position player goes ahead and bets $10. There's 2 folds in front of me, so that's just me to call. I have second pair. I'm thinking he hit this queen. And I don't feel super confident about my kicker either way, and I go ahead and make the call, but he ends up having an 8. So we flip over a jack, we win this one, and it's a nice little $62 pot coming our way. Alrighty, guys, so we are on the button. We will go ahead and put on the $5 straddle, and we are very fortunate to look down at ace-king offsuit. We get 3 total callers. There's a little bit of a mix-up where a couple people limp without seeing my straddle, and the dealer has to kind of go back and tell them, and then they go ahead and just make the $5 call. There's 3 callers for the 5 until it gets to the person to my right, and he makes it $12. Now, I'm on the button. I'm in position. There is 5 other players in this pot. Sorry, 5 total players in this pot. I'm not going to slow play this at all. I'm going to go ahead and raise it up to $35 on the button with the premium. I want to get these other little stragglers out, maybe get a heads up with the initial raiser. Unfortunately for me, he does not want to play ball and goes ahead and lets his cards go. It's always nice to win a hand without having to make a hand, but I go ahead and show him the ace-king just to let him know I am good for it. Alright, guys, so for this next one, our next playable hand, we get king-jack of spades. Love seeing suited Broadway cards. Action folds to me, and I go ahead and raise it in middle position to $10. We do get a couple folds, and then we end up getting called in 2 spots, one to our left and one to our right. We are in middle position going to this flop, and we actually end up getting a pretty decent flop, especially for our range. We get a flop of ace of clubs, 10 of hearts, 8 of spades. Now, as the pre-flop raiser, this obviously hits me pretty hard. Really, any ace-high flop is going to hit me a large percentage of the time. So I go ahead and lead out for another $10 bet. And luckily, we actually get through both the players with this semi-bluff. Once again, didn't have to make a hand and picked up a small pot. So far, so good. Just trying to ease into the session a little bit, picking up some small pots. On our next one, we look down at 10-9 of hearts, one of my favorite hands to play. And we are faced with a open to $35 to our right. We really want to get in this action, so we go ahead and very quickly make the call for $35. And this is, of course, right before the guy on my direct left goes ahead and shoves for $77 total dollars. Now, this isn't too bad. I've basically invested about half of what he just went all in for. Then the player next to him goes in for his remaining 50. There, he was in the short stack, so the action's not opened up. He goes in for 50. Then the initial raiser goes ahead and shoves. I want to say he had me covered, and I had about $350. So he goes ahead and shoves, covering me. And at this point, I was already invested a little bit, but I'm going ahead and counting up my stack, making sure he's got me covered. He does before I make a decision. And honestly, guys, I'm not going to be calling this. Calling $200-$300 up against 3 different opponents. And really, the guy who has me covered has shown the most strength. He raised a $35 open. That's got to be a premium. So I go ahead and let one of these. Go ahead and let this one go. And obviously, even though we had a pretty easy fold there, facing a all-in situation, it's always nice to know if you're right. They go ahead and run out the board for the 3 all-in players, and the board comes out 10, 2, 3, 5, 2. We would have hit top pair, which looks good, until we obviously were up against kings, so we wouldn't have made any money, and we ended up making the right decision on that one. For our next one, guys, we actually have a pretty big one. We look down at ace-10 offsuit, and we're going to get involved here. I go ahead, and I believe I raise it to $10 just to open. The guy to my left, who just sat down from the other table that broke, immediately raises to $45. It folds back to me, and I'm going to call here out of position. It's not a re-raising hand. If they're suited, maybe. But I'm just going to go ahead and call, and we already have a $98 pot brewing. So I'm hoping to get a good flop here, and we do. The flop comes out 10 of diamonds, 6 of spades, 9 of clubs. And we have top on this. I go ahead and check it to the raiser to see what he wants to do, and he very quickly checks back. The turn brings in the 3 of spades, which shouldn't have changed anything. I go ahead and I need to start putting money in here with top pair, top kicker. So I go ahead and bet 50, which is about half pot. And very, very quickly, he raises me to 100. He says 95 very quickly and then changes it to 100 when he realizes that's not enough to raise it by. I give it a little bit of thought. I got top. It's a very good hand. I could be ahead, and if not, I have some outs. So I go ahead and make the call for 100. And this guy is wild. I mean, ever since he sat down like 2 hands ago, and he's like 3-bet or raised every single hand. So he could have any 2 cards. I go ahead and make the call. We have a $198 pot brewing, and I want to get some help on the river, and we get it. We actually get the ace of hearts on the river. I go into check call mode. I'm basically going to call any bet that he bets, and he very quickly bets 175. I snap it off, and we're good. Ace 10 is good for top 2 pair. He had ace 3 of spades, so he went runner 2 pair. I don't blame him for betting as much as he did. He almost bet a pot-sized bet. I would have probably bet the same in his position. A little bit of a cooler here for him, but we get to stack up a very nice pot deep into the night. Moving right along, in this next hand, we look down at 2 black aces. We are in the small blind, so we just patiently wait our turn to dash anyone's hope of getting in this pot for cheap. We have a couple callers, and the person to my direct right decides that he wants to make it $15. Well, I am in position to this guy, and there's no way that I'm going to slow play this pre-flop. I go ahead and cut out raising chips and decide to raise it to 40. I've raised a 3-bet to this amount a couple times for the night, and I'm really hoping for a call. I did this earlier with the same opponent, and he folded, and he decides to make the call. So we're already going off to an $85 pot. Luckily, we are also in position here, so this should be a pretty straightforward play. He goes ahead and, like I said, makes the call, and we are off to a flop, which comes 6 jack. I kind of like this flop because if he doesn't have a jack, I'm essentially have the nuts. I mean, there's very little hands that he could have that could be ahead of me right now. So I go ahead and bet a little bit over half pot of $50. And after thinking about it for about 5 to 10 seconds, he goes ahead and makes the call. So now the pot is $185, and we get a 5 of diamonds on the turn. This shouldn't change anything. There isn't a flush draw out there or anything. I go ahead and actually put up a smaller bet compared to the size of the pot of $75 this time. And very quickly, my opponent says, yeah, I'm done with this hand, and folds his hand. Nice to pick this one up. Let's go into the next one. All right, I am moving into the biggest hand of the night that I was involved in. This one, I start recording a little bit late, so I got to catch you guys up to speed. I look down at aces yet again. Yes, very soon after the last pair I had. I raised $15 pre-flop, and I get 4 callers. I'm in second to last position, and the flop comes 8 of clubs, king of clubs, 6 of diamonds. The person in first position actually leads out here for $40 into this pot, and the next position player calls the $40. That 125 out there that you see, that is my raise. I go ahead and raise it up, thinking that somebody might have a king, somebody might have a flush draw. I raise it up to 125, which is about a 3x raise, and something that I did not think happens. The person to my left, who's in last position, goes ahead and calls the 125. The initial raiser of $40, he goes ahead and calls my 125. And then the player between me and the first position player, she goes ahead and goes all in for, I want to say it was like 205 in that ballpark. For me, I have a $75 call here into a pot that is currently $700 with aces. So I don't have much I can do besides either A, reshove, or B, call. And I don't want to reshove because both the people in the hand have me covered, and I have about $450. So I go ahead and just make the call here. It's about $200, so I go ahead and make the call. And what you know it, the person to my left goes ahead and makes the call too. And hell, the initial raiser, he's getting the best pot odds I've ever seen in my life. He goes ahead and makes the call as well. At this point, I am not really loving my hand, as you can imagine. With this much action, there's just some way, somehow, I am not good. The turn brings the 8 of spades, which I don't feel like changes much besides, obviously, a set of sixes, or 8-6 makes a boat, or maybe, the occasional king-8 that got in there pre-flop. Now boats up. That's really all I'm concerned about. If I was behind, I feel like I was behind already. But when the initial raiser goes ahead and shoves and has me covered, I really don't have any choice but to let go of my aces. The middle position player is all in, and the person to my left also folds. So we do get to see the cards turned over to make sure we made the right decision. Hopefully, we made the right decision. After a little bit of complaining to my left, the guy finally lets go of his open-ended straight draw is what he ended up having. We are off to a river, which brings in the 7 of hearts. They turn him over. The lady that went all in, she had ace king, and the initial raiser, he actually had 8-6 for 2 pair on the flop, turned boat. We were behind on the flop and the turn, obviously. And this actually is our last hand that I caught on camera for the night. I'm going to give you guys a little recap in the outro right now. Hey everybody, it's Ethan again. It's a few days later. I've just finished editing everything, and I hope you enjoyed watching all the hands. After that last hand right there, my SD card on my GoPro kind of filled up, and I didn't really have time to go through and like delete footage in order to open it up. So I just kind of kept playing. I was sitting at a stack of around $450 at this point. And truthfully, I was not playing good. A guy sat down beside me, and he was kind of a maniac. He 3-bet like every single hand, and I called almost every single 3-bet. I was making really bad calls pre-flop with very questionable hands. Ace-10 suited, ace-10 offsuit, ace-2 offsuit, 7-6 offsuit, just some stupid hands, and my stack really dwindled. In about 20 hands, dwindled down to like $175. I eventually got it all in, either on the flop or pre-flop. I can't even remember what hand it was. But it was really late in the night. I was very tired, and truthfully, I was not playing good. In addition to that, the entire session, I actually didn't realize this until after the session, I did not hit a single straight, flush, boat, set, nothing better than a 3 of a kind, essentially. I hit 3 of a kind, I think, twice. And technically, I did hit a straight. It was a limped pot, big blind versus small blind. I was the small blind. I flopped a royal flush draw. Checked it. He checked it. I bet 5 onto the turn into a pot of $4, and he folded. So technically, I did hit a straight and made $2 from it. And then tipped the dealer. But I did not run very good in terms of making big hands, if that makes sense. I did get aces. I got kings twice. I got aces twice. And I did win some big pots, as you guys saw. Overall, it was really late into the night. That's when I wasn't playing very good, and that's why the outcome ended up being I lost $600 total on the night. I ended up buying in for $300 to start, and I added in throughout the night for a total of $600, and I lost it all. So I ended up making negative $600. Didn't make anything. But I know definitely know what I could have done better. And even though I didn't make very big hands, if I would have been a lot more patient, especially towards the end of the night, I would have walked away at least even. I was up about $200 at the highest point of the session, so I got down early and I kind of worked my way up and got down a little bit, and it was pretty sporadic from there. I just know I need to be patient and stop calling as many 3-bets, be much more open to folding, and my sessions will go a lot better. But thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Please like this video. and leave a comment below of anything that you think I could improve, something you'd like to see, what you thought about the video. This is my first time really editing to this scale, and I know I have a long way to go, but thank you once again for tuning in, and turn on the notification bell. I'll be posting vlogs probably every 10 days-ish. That's my goal, and I'm going to be pumping them out. So thank you so much once again for tuning in. If you have any questions, just put them in the comment section. I'd love to answer them, and you guys have a awesome week. Bye now.